folks, John Cordisco back again with another great chess video for you. This is round 5 of the Rejkjavik Open in Rejkjavik, Iceland. The heck of a game. It's between VanKampen of the Netherlands and Rapport of Germany. I had another video with Richard in here. He's an exciting player. He likes to play crazy stuff. He's a young guy and he's really good. He's almost 2,700. And VanKampen is 2603. Rapport is 2681. Going to be a Pierce defense. D6. We'll go through here the opening. We don't want to go too much in the opening theory here. C5. D takes. Queen. Not as good as C takes. Knight takes. D takes. Knight C6. With a tiny advantage for black, even though white's 2 pawns up. Black castles, bishop d2, knight c6, hitting the queen goes to c4. White's got a pretty active position here. It's I kind of like the setup here VanKampen has. Got a tiny advantage of my Fritz computer on off screen, but queen to d8. If queen had taken, queen takes, pawn takes, e5. And I think white sits really well here. Queen to d8. White castle's long. Bishop e6. He finally gets his last minor piece developed. White moves the queen again. Knight to g4. Of course, we all see threatening to fork the rooks. Rook to g1 to stop that in a6. Interesting might have been d takes, and after bishop c4, bishop d7. After a6, h3, knight to f2, rook moves, pawn finally takes, queen a3. This game starts to get really tactical towards the end game. Knight to d4. Looks like Rapport has crawled his way back here. He was down a little bit, a little cramped, and it's going to be interesting how this turns out because that knight on f2 is kind of deserted. He has nowhere to go. Interesting might have been rook to c8, then after knight moves, b5. After knight to d4, knight, bishop comes back. He wants to save his bishop. Knight to d5, bishop c6. This is a really interesting position. That knight at f2, I don't know if I care for that much. Queen takes finally. I think bishop, according to the computer, queen to d6, bishop c4, bishop takes, queen takes, bishop d2. It's very interesting. Makes the game a little crazy. After queen to c5, bishop takes, queen takes. If pawn had taken, rook to c8, of course that's disastrous. Rook takes the queen, bishop, rook takes c2 check, king to b1, and white is down a piece. Be careful which we take with. And this is where I think Rapport miscues. The computer suggests queen to c7, but seems like a reasonable move. He doesn't want to trade queens, and he wants to put pressure on the c file. He plays rook to c8. Drops down considerably. I think that's a natural move, if you want to know the truth of it, because Rapport is probably thinking after queen takes, rook takes, I'm sitting pretty. I got 2 rooks coming down this way. I've got a knight sitting here. I got a knight sitting here. That's probably what he's thinking. If he had played queen to c7. After queen to c4, queen takes, bishop takes, rook a to c8. Might have been much better for him. I can't really fault the kid, Rapport, for playing rook to c8. Queen takes, rook takes, c3, h6, kicking the knight. Knight goes back to f3. Knight takes, pawn. Now we all see, of course, if pawn takes, the knight takes knight, forking the bishop, or excuse me, the rooks. So he plays knight takes, bishop takes, rook to h1, threatening the knight. Knight goes to f2, rook takes. This is an interesting position. It's pretty wild stuff. Rapport's a heck of a player. He likes to be creative, and I don't know too much about VanKampen from the Netherlands. I've seen him in a couple of interviews when he played in Tata Steel. He played in the C group, I believe, before. These guys are young. I says both their ages together are less than my age, so you know, young minds, they work great. God bless them. One's over 2,600, the other one's almost 2,700. b5, he's trying to get the pawns rolling, open up the king side a little bit. Of course, we all see why he can't take the bishop, because the rook is on the king. a3, stop some of that. Bishop b6, he finally moves the bishop off. King to c2, it comes up. He was afraid, of course, to force a trade, because knight here checks. Bishop would have to take, and he loses his light squared bishop. Rook to d7. Bishop c1. That's an interesting move. That one I don't understand. I'm looking at my friend's computer off screen, and the first choice of the computer is f5, and then bishop c1. I guess I'm not a good enough player to understand why bishop c1. Double up the rooks. e5. It's a lot easier to play white here, I think. e6. Computer suggests that after king, rook goes back to h2, which doesn't really do much. After e6, then he goes f5. Now, I'm looking at the computer here, and the computer has suggested bishop to e2, which I probably go along with. But he went f5. He's trying to open it up. And this is where Rapport miscues again. He either should play g takes f5 or e takes f5. Those are the top two suggestions of the computer. He plays rook to d1, causing the computer to go a little crazy here. It's almost a 3-point advantage now for white. After g takes, I think he had a good chance to save the game, because after bishop, knight to g4, bishop takes, bishop f2. Might have been a black's only hope. But after rook to d1, I think this is the move that he missed. Bishop to g5, hitting the rook. Bishop to e3. I think it's g7. King to g7 was his last shot. And after rook to h4, g takes. But still, it's still doomed. Rook takes e3. Now, what would have happened? Oh, lost my place here. If he had played instead bishop takes, rook takes, bishop g5, knight g4. And that would have been black's advantage instead of white's. Excuse me, I got a little mixed up there. So white took with a proper piece, took with a rook. Rook checks. King's going to run away. Rook to b1. He has to move up here. He's going to get mated. Knight goes to g4. VanKampen makes the correct move. Rook e to h3. Knight takes. Rook takes. Rook takes. King to a5. king to g7. If he had played rook takes f1, bishop, rook, rook, you're down a piece. And then, of course, mate. After king to g7, bishop d3, rook d1. White's got two pieces for the rook, but his king's in a lot of trouble. And as you can see, both the black's pawns here are gonna die soon. F takes, rook takes, king to f7, and this is where finally Richard Rapport throws in the towel. That's a heck of a win for VanKampen. It's almost a 100-point rating advantage for Rapport. Good game by VanKampen. I know a little bit about him, but not a lot. All these guys are so young and they got baby faces. They're all like kids to me, but they're great players. This was a heck of a game. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to thank all my new subscribers that I've gotten in the last few weeks. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And I want you to remember, if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.
Hi.
Oh, hi, honey.
That's my man. The fellow who invented do-it-yourself. Or maybe it just seems that way. As for me, there are certain things I'd much rather not do for myself. Take driving. I want my car to do most of the work for me. And that's just what my new Ford with optional power assist does. Let me show you. Remember when parking was so much trouble? Well, with Ford's Master Guide power steering, all turning is as easy as this. Nothing to it. Here's something that's exclusive to Ford in its field. A four-way power seat. Not only does power move me forward or back, it can move me up or down to give me my most comfortable driving position at the touch of my finger. And with another touch here, I can raise or lower all four windows without moving from my seat. Each passenger has his own control switch, too. I also have Ford's SwiftSure power brakes, which reduce pedal pressure up to 1/3. And Ford-O-Matic Drive, the smoothest, most versatile automatic transmission of them all. See what I mean about my Ford doing most of my work for me? It's the one car designed with a woman in mind.